All right, let's dive deep today with Anthony DeMello's The Way to Love.
Oh, DeMello, yeah.
He was a Jesuit priest, and he had some, well, thought-provoking ideas, to say the least.
Yeah.
So we're going to unearth his wisdom on love and happiness,
Okay.
especially, the stuff you can actually use in your life.
Yeah, I mean, DeMello doesn't beat around the bush, right? He comes right out and says humans are programmed for unhappiness.
Whoa. Hold on. Program for unhappiness.
Yeah.
What's that even mean?
Well, think about it. I mean, society, like from day one, it tells us happiness is like it's something outside of us, like achievements or possessions or the perfect relationship, right? We chase all this stuff like it's going to make us happy.
Yeah, I think we've all been there at some point.
Right.
Definitely.
DeMello uses this, he's got this Greek analogy about a bus full of tourists.
Okay.
They're so busy, like fighting over the best seats, that they keep the shades drawn. They completely miss the amazing scenery they're driving by.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. So we get so caught up in our little stuff that we miss the big picture.
That's exactly it. We focus on these temporary pleasures and miss the real joy.
Okay.
And he says there are like two big misconceptions that make this happen. The first one is that happiness comes from external things. He says it's like trying to find an eagle's nest at the bottom of the ocean.
So even if you have it, the dream job,
Yeah.
fancy car, whatever, you can still feel empty.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
And the second misconception is thinking that fulfilling all your desires will make you happy.
Sure.
But I mean, think about the things you're attached to right now. Do you really think getting them will make you lastingly happy?
Yeah.
I mean, desires themselves create tension and fear, right? We're always worried about losing the things we're attached to.
That's true. That sounds kind of exhausting when you put it like that.
It is. So, if we're programmed for unhappiness and external things are basically traps,
Right.
how do we break free?
Yeah.
DeMello's answer: detachment.
Not renunciation, though, right? He's not saying to give up everything you enjoy,
Exactly.
just to change your relationship to things.
Exactly. Detachment is about letting go of the idea that your happiness depends on those things.
Okay.
And he tells this amazing story about Rinzai, a joyful rickshaw driver he met in Calcutta.
Oh, yeah. Rintai's story really hit me, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was facing poverty and a terminal illness, but he was so full of joy.
Right.
It's incredible.
So this meeting was a turning point for DeMello.
Mm-hmm.
It showed him that happiness isn't tied to your circumstances. Rinzai was happy because he was detached. He found contentment in himself.
So if attachment makes us slaves to our desires, then detachment is about finding freedom.
Exactly. DeMello describes attachments as a kind of blindness.
Okay.
They block us from seeing the beauty in life. We're so focused on just a few things.
It's like those blurry glasses that only let you see the things you're attached to, right?
Right.
And you miss everything else.
Exactly. And that's where his idea of love is indiscriminate comes in. Think about a rose.
Yeah.
It doesn't choose who to share its fragrance with. A lamp can't choose not to give light.
Right.
A tree gives shade to everyone. They just give freely.
So are you saying we should just love everything equally?
Well, not exactly. What DeMello's saying is our attachments create boundaries in our hearts. They limit how openly and fully we can love.
So how do we break free from that blindness?
Right.
How do we learn to love more openly?
Well, DeMello gives us a few practical steps. The first is awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to your negative reactions and recognize they usually come from your own programming.
I mean, instead of blaming someone for making us angry, we ask ourselves why we're reacting that way.
Exactly. It's about taking responsibility for your emotions, and figuring out what patterns are keeping you stuck.
Okay.
It's not about blaming others.
Gotcha. So what else can we do to cultivate detachment and get closer to this unconditional love DeMello's talking about?
Well, he's got some advice that might sound a little strange at first. He suggests spending time with people who annoy you.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Spend time with people who drive us crazy? I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of detachment.
Yeah. But that's the thing about DeMello. He's challenging us to see those people as opportunities for self-discovery.
So instead of avoiding them,
Yeah.
we use them as mirrors.
Exactly.
To see the things we might be avoiding in ourselves.
That's the idea. Those people who push our buttons, they can teach us a lot about ourselves, about our triggers and our patterns.
That's a pretty radical idea.
Yeah.
So we see these people not as the enemy, but as teachers,
Right.
helping us become more whole. So spending time with people who bug us is supposed to like help us grow.
Yeah.
But how does that fit in with uh, DeMello's idea of detachment?
Well, think about it. The stuff that really gets under our skin in other people,
Hmm.
it's often like a reflection of things we've pushed down in ourselves.
Wait, so you mean like that coworker who's always micromanaging?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just like mirroring my own need for control.
That's exactly the kind of self-reflection DeMello wants us to do.
Okay.
Instead of blaming others for our reactions,
Right.
we can use those moments to, explore our own shadow side, those parts of ourselves we don't want to see.
Yeah. That's a pretty intense idea.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at those people as the enemy.
Right.
They're like teachers
Exactly.
showing us how to become more whole.
Yeah. And DeMello also says our attachments make us compare ourselves to others and compete,
Oh, yeah.
which just makes us more unhappy.
It's like we're always measuring ourselves against this impossible standard.
Right.
Totally exhausting.
It is. He says we need to let go of that need to compare and compete.
Uh-huh.
Instead, he says, tap into that, that childlike sense of wonder.
Hmm.
See the world with fresh eyes, appreciate the beauty without judging.
I love that.
Yeah.
Rediscovering that sense of wonder.
Yeah.
Speaking of seeing things clearly, DeMello has some interesting thoughts about how judgments distort our view of reality.
Totally. He says our judgments, which usually come from our attachments,
Mm-hmm.
they act like filters, they block us from seeing the world as it is.
Okay.
We see things not as they are, but as we want them to be,
Right.
or as we're afraid they might be.
It's like we're looking through like colored glasses
Yeah,
that only let certain things through.
exactly. He uses this example of seeing a woman on the street.
Ow.
Instead of seeing her as a unique person,
Yeah.
we label her Indian, woman, peasant, then judge her good, bad, attractive, unattractive.
So we basically reduce her to a bunch of labels and judgments.
Yeah.
We miss who she really is.
Exactly. And he even says that compliments can be a form of judgment.
Oh, really?
Like imagine someone says, you're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
If you accept that, you're buying into their judgment.
Mhm.
You're giving them power over how you see yourself.
So instead of letting those external things define us,
Right.
we need to like develop our own sense of self-worth.
Exactly. Like a better response to a compliment might be, that's kind of you to say, I appreciate that you see me that way.
Okay.
It acknowledges their feeling without letting their judgment define you.
It takes the pressure off,
Yeah,
It's freeing.
it is. DeMella also talks about finding joyful activities,
Mm-hmm.
things you do just for the love of it, not for any reward.
Right.
What are some things you do just for the pure joy of it?
Let me think. For me, it's definitely writing.
Okay.
Sometimes I get so lost in it, I lose track of time.
Yeah.
It's not about like getting published or praised.
Mm.
It's the joy of creating.
That's a great example. DeMello also says connecting with nature is a powerful way to cultivate detachment.
Yeah, nature has this way of putting things in perspective,
Absolutely. Spending time in nature, surrounded by that beauty, can help us break free from external things and find inner peace.
Okay, so this whole idea of love as a choice, not just a feeling.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. DeMello says we can't truly love others until we let go of the need to feel loved ourselves.
He calls that neediness euphoria, not true love.
Okay.
It's like we're trying to fill a hole inside us by seeking love from others,
Yeah.
which just leads to dependency and disappointment.
Right.
He uses this powerful, kind of shocking image to describe it.
Oh.
He talks about a hand that's been mutilated,
Okay.
so it can't grasp or hold on to anything.
Wow.
He's saying, only when we've let go of our attachments or need to possess things can we really understand love's freedom. It takes a kind of emptiness,
Okay.
willingness to let go.
That's a strong image. But how do we actually do that?
Right.
How do we shift from needing love to giving it freely?
DeMello says true love starts with understanding. Seeing others clearly, without judgment,
Yeah.
accepting them for who they are.
It sounds so simple, but like so hard.
It is. He uses the analogy of the rose, lamp, and tree again. A rose can't choose who smells its fragrance.
Right.
A lamp can't help but give light. A tree offers shade to everyone. They just give, no strings attached.
So it's not about trying to change people or make them fit our expectations.
Exactly.
It's about embracing them as they are.
And it's not just about understanding others.
Yeah.
It's about understanding ourselves, too.
What do you mean?
DeMello stresses self-awareness.
Okay.
The more we understand our own motives, our
Mhm.
emotions, our patterns,
Yeah.
the more compassionate we become towards others.
So it's about seeing our own shadows,
Yeah.
the parts of ourselves we project onto other people.
Exactly. When we can acknowledge those parts of ourselves,
Right.
we can love others without conditions. DeMello reminds us true love isn't about clinging or possessing. It's
Mm.
about giving others the freedom to be themselves.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about respecting their individuality,
Right.
supporting their growth,
Yeah.
even if it means letting go of what we want.
And that leads to one of DeMello's most mind-blowing ideas. The people we're most afraid of losing are often the ones holding us captive.
So the more we cling to someone because we're scared to lose them, the less free we are in the relationship.
That's the paradox. He says, face that fear.
Mm.
Actually, imagine losing those you're attached to. Say goodbye in your heart.
That sounds so hard.
It is. But DeMello says it's through letting go that we find true freedom
Okay.
and discover a love that's not based on neediness.
It's about realizing our loved ones don't belong to us.
Right?
They have their own path.
Yeah.
And our love should support that, not restrict it.
It's a big shift in how we see things.
Mm.
Moving from possessive love to a love that celebrates the other person's freedom.
Wow, that's powerful. Makes you wonder how much of our unhappiness comes from clinging to things we were never meant to possess.
Right.
Makes you think, about letting go and all that. And it reminds me of how our culture kind of pushes us to achieve and accumulate stuff, even if it makes us unhappy.
It's true. We're always told to chase success, money, status, all that, even if it costs us our peace of mind. Like, we're on a treadmill, running but going nowhere.
It's like, what's that saying? We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like.
Yeah, exactly. DeMello would probably say, get off the treadmill. Question those rules. Define success on your own terms, not society's. What does success actually mean to you?
That's a good question. It's easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to others. But for me, I guess success is more about, living a life that feels meaningful, true to myself.
There you go. That's what matters. DeMello reminds us, real happiness, real fulfillment, it doesn't come from stuff or, what other people think. It comes from inner peace, good relationships, a purpose that resonates with you.
He talks a lot about awareness, right?
Yeah,
Just paying attention to our thoughts and feelings without judgment. That can help us grow.
definitely. DeMello says awareness is like shining a light on the dark parts of our minds.
Hmm.
It shows us those patterns that keep us stuck in unhappiness.
So we see our automatic reactions, our fears, all that.
Exactly. And when we can see them clearly without, beating ourselves up, they lose their power over us. We can make better choices, break free, and create a life that feels, well, more real, more us.
One thing that strikes me about DeMello is he's not giving us a rigid set of rules to follow.
Right.
It's not a step-by-step program.
That's what's so great about his work. He's not about dogma. It's about a way of being, approaching life with awareness, being open, letting go of the things that block our joy and love.
He's saying embrace the moment, appreciate the little things, find that sense of wonder again.
Yeah, exactly. Shift your focus from what you're missing to what you already have, from chasing pleasure to appreciating the richness that's already there. True love and happiness, they're not destinations, they're journeys. Journeys of self-discovery, growth, and letting go.
So wrapping up our deep dive into the way to love, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
I think DeMello would ask us all to consider this. What if the things that bug you most about others are just reflections of parts of yourself that you've, pushed away? Try looking at those annoyances this week with curiosity, not judgment. See what you find.
That's a really powerful thought to leave us with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Anthony DeMello's The Way to Love. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those hearts and minds open.